Welcome to another episode of Wisdom Wednesday, where we come here to support you in all areas of life as a woman over 40. In our group, I have seen a lot of relationship posts, a lot of them relating to trauma born and also abuse. So today I have a hypnotherapist here wanting to share with you how to break free from those trauma bonds. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining our space today. Please tell us a little bit more about you.
Hi, Martha. How are you? I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and my business name is Soulful Healing Hypnotherapy. And I have worked with countless women that have just come out of abusive relationships and are trauma bonded to their partner. And the main reason why.
Hi,
Hi,
Nicole. Thank you for
everyone.
joining our space.
Sorry.
That's
Hi,
okay. Oh, good. Hi.
everyone. My name's Nicole, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a Reiki master. I got into hypnotherapy because I came out of an abusive relationship, and I found that hypnotherapy really helped me remove my trauma bonds. So I loved it that much that I now found my purpose in life and are helping countless women remove their trauma bonds and find their identity and create new versions of themselves. I also incorporate Reiki in with my hypno as well, and I call that my hypno key. And I just find that if you can fix your mind, you can fix your body, and you can fix your soul all at the same time. So it's just all about gaining confidence, finding your identity, and knowing that you're not alone,
Yes,
because you're
I
not.
hear you. I hear you
Okay?
because so many of us actually feel like that we are alone in this process. And one of the good things to know is that we don't have to feel alone. So
That's right.
tell me a little bit more about trauma bonds. I would like to understand a bit more about it. So can you explain what trauma bonds are and how are they formed? And let's discuss the impact that they have on our relationship and self.
Okay, so a trauma bond is formed when your abuser does something traumatic to you. Like he hits you for the first time, and then all of a sudden, once he hits you, he's crying, and you're nurturing him because he's abused you, which is quite common. And so he's created now this trauma of the abuse, and then he's love bombed you, or he's apologized and said, I'm so sorry. All of a sudden, you've created this trauma. And that's the bond that we end up having with our abuser. So we end up, because we forgive them, it happens again, and then it happens again. And then we start believing that it's okay. So we start believing that all the gaslighting and that all the breadcrumbs that we entail is okay. So we're constantly just enabling them, and the more we enable them, the more trauma bond we connect with them, the more trauma bonded we become.
I see. I hear a lot of people saying trauma bond as something that even you actually cut off connection, you still feel that connection with them.
You do, you have that heartache. It's like it's like a form of a drug. So trauma bond is like a drug, if you want to call it that. And we become addicted to them. We become addicted to the drama. We become addicted to them in general. So when we try and break free from it, it's like we need to go into a detox. And it actually feels like our heart is breaking when we try and remove ourselves from the situation, because we are so trauma bonded to them. So yes, you have to start all over again. You have to start re-loving yourself again. You have to start finding what your beliefs are, your identity. You need to remove those limiting beliefs of you not good enough. You need to remove that, because you are good enough.
Mm, I see, I see. Because I find that a lot of the reasons that we stay in a traumatic relationship or not healthy in relationship, it is because our inner child actually being hurt. And I find that a lot of the times that when that inner child is missing, it is very scared of restriction, and very, very scared of being abandoned. And
Yes.
that's one of the contribution of going into that trauma bond and getting stuck in there. So
That's right.
let's talk about what is generational abuse and how do we recognize them?
Okay, so generational abuse doesn't just stem from our parents, it stems from their parents. So it's like an ancestral thing. So
Mm,
when we're brought up in a dysfunctional family where there's not really a lot of love, or if you've seen abuse and you see your father hitting your mum, or them abandoning you as a child, or having a conditional love, it's not an unconditional love. That all stems from why we find the abuser in our life, because we are so conditioned in the way we're brought up that we think that's the norm.
mm,
So then we find a partner who is exactly like our mother or our father, who replicates our abandonment issues, our limiting beliefs, our feeling alone. It's our inner child. It's our inner child that thinks that being abused is normal,
mm,
which is
mm,
why we find that. So with the hypnotherapy, we work on your inner child, and we remove the bond that links to, once again, a trauma bond. So it's like the generation then moves into another generation. You have children, they see the same thing, and they form that same pattern because we
mm.
mirror it. They mirror us.
Hmm. That was actually very interesting. I just answered one of the award questions that we are like I'm doing for an award that would be nominated as community leader. One of the things that I said is one of the goal of the community that I wanted to create is to actually let women know that they deserve better. A
Yep,
lot of us do not know how should we be treated because we learn from our parents.
that's
And
right.
one of the things that I said in my video was that, hey, do you know that what we are doing, what we are allowing our abuser doing, is that our kids is watching as well. So they are actually learning from us. And I said that, why do I feel that way? Because I was one of them. I
Yep,
look at my parents, they fight all the time. My dad is very verbally abusive. And I
yep,
didn't know that was something different. So even when I did say that when I find a partner, I will never find someone like my
yep.
dad, guess what? He's exactly the same and 10 times worse.
Yep,
And it's so interesting that we go back into that same pattern. And the
yes,
funny thing was, now that I'm look back at it, I realized that I didn't say anything because I didn't know better.
that's
Because as a
right.
child, I look at my mom, she didn't say anything. So
Mhm.
I thought that's just how marriage is, especially being an Asian marriage. I thought that was just how it is. The men have the lead on absolutely everything. But
Yeah,
then I realized that as I learned more through the healing journey, I realized that no, it is actually okay to say this is not okay. So,
that's right.
woman, when you're actually hearing this, listen to us when we say what your action is actually affects your next generation. It is
That's
because my mom did not tell me that it was not okay. So I didn't know how to ask for help
yes.
until 19 years later that I
Yep.
realized something needs to change.
That's right. And what I have found with a lot of my clients, their family value and their belief of family values is because they did watch the mother deal with a lot.
Mm,
They feel, and I was the same, that no matter how you're treated, it's all about keeping that family bond together.
mm,
So it stems a lot from your family belief and values and what you will do to hold on to that family.
mm. That's true because like it's like that we have been conditioned to actually say that we have to be this good person. So
Yep.
when we have to be this good person, we have to put ourselves down. We have to let other people walk all over us and
Yep.
stop actually having our voice. And that's one of the things that I am so passionate into changing,
Yep.
because no matter what we say, we need to understand that we have a choice. When we constantly don't see that there is a choice, that's when problem starts. Okay.
That's right.
I went for hypnotherapy myself, and I have to say it is the one of the best thing that I ever done. I
Yeah.
found hypnotherapy actually touches our problem from a more gentle perspective, which
Yes.
is our less defensive system. It's
Yeah.
like someone come to you and say, ah, this is wrong. Of course, immediately your everything actually went up. You try to fight
Ego.
for it.
Yes.
Hypnotherapy actually work at an unconscious level. So when
Yep.
you're actually going into hypnotherapy, it makes you feel a lot more easier to open up, and you have less resistance. And when you do that, it actually helped you with a greater effect. So I would love to help ask you, as a hypnotherapist, how does hypnotherapy can help in the journey of healing from trauma?
Okay, so what happens with hypnotherapy is we go into the unconscious mind. Now, the unconscious mind is it's quite powerful.
Mm.
So the unconscious mind remembers everything. So it remembers um, anything that's happened in your childhood. The unconscious mind is what helps us breathe, walk, talk. It's all in the unconscious mind. It's like when you ride a bike and then you forget how to ride the bike, but you get on the bike and you all of a sudden it's there. That's your unconscious mind. So we go in to quite a trance state where the subconscious mind releases the inner child, and so I do a lot of timeline therapy, and with the timeline therapy, we go back into the past, where it could be in the womb, where the first wound was, or it could be when you were 4 years old, and we remove any stuck emotions. We remove any anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, the depression, limiting beliefs of not feeling good enough, or and it's so powerful that as you move through the different sessions, you feel so much more lighter, you have more clarity, you have a little bounce in your step, you feel so empowered that the bond that is connected to the emotion, it goes. So all of a sudden you go, oh, gosh, I would have been angry with that, or gee, I didn't feel that emotion there. So the emotion goes. It completely disappears. To me, hypnotherapy is like magic because it happens straight away. And you don't have to revisit your past all the time. You're just going in there the once and you're removing the emotion to that.
I love it. I love it. I love it because during timeline therapy, on my own experience when I was actually learning NLP and hypnotherapy, one of our colleagues that we have to like practice on each other, and she did a timeline therapy on me. And one of the things that she did was going back to the first time that I actually experienced fear.
Yep.
And that moment was when my father actually used a knife and stabbed on me. And I can see blood and vein on my arms actually coming out. And
Wow.
that was the first moment I experienced fear.
Yeah.
So that was quite a traumatic experience.
Yes.
And I was only about 4. I wasn't
Yes.
actually that old to actually
Wow.
recognize, but I remember my vein was blue and my blood was wet. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
And then afterward, when we go back into the timeline therapy, one of the reasons why I'm sharing it with everyone here is just to let you know it's not that scary. Okay. It
No.
sounds very traumatic, but it's not that scary because you're
Yes.
in completely control in that. So when we go back to the timeline therapy, the trainer asked me, okay, so what is the positive learning that you earn
That's
from
right.
that moment? And anyone that is listening out there, you're like, what? You just been stabbed. What kind of positive learning can you think about? And of
Yeah,
course, exactly, that was what I did. I swear, like, there's no tomorrow. I'm like, how can you have a positive learning
yeah,
from a traumatic experience? But to my surprise, the more she led me, the more that she guided me, I actually realized that, you know what? Like, we have a good relationship now. I don't hate him anymore. And
yeah,
the one sentence that woke me up was, I was no longer that little child that who
right,
cannot protect herself.
yeah,
And that gave me such a wake up call. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm free from that bond now. I
yeah,
realized I'm no longer that person. And I
yeah,
still remember that day that I quickly texted Malcolm and say, oh my God, look at this. Like, I finally realized why I'm feeling so bad. And now I'm being released from it.
yes,
So it is some of the power of hypnotherapy that can help you to have that recognition without the fight of keep arguing,
yeah,
keep fighting back. And that's what I find it is so good, because
okay,
like even in coaching and counseling, we notice people keep coming back and actually fight and thinking that they're right. Not 90% of the time that they don't listen until you actually like really pinpoint it and at the
yeah,
point that they're at the right time to listen.
yeah,
With hypnotherapy, that is the huge difference.
yes. That happens pretty much straight away. And
Yeah.
me,
And
I'm all about quick fix.
mhm,
So, and I just found that hypnotherapy just worked so well with me, that and it works so well with all my clients, and I love it. It's the most rewarding job I've had, just helping others through hypnotherapy and removing all that inner child stuff,
mm,
all those emotions and the resentment goes. It just, you don't ever forget, but it changes. So you
yeah,
still remember, but the emotion's gone to it. So you're not
yes,
tied to it.
yes,
You're not stuck. You don't feel stuck anymore.
exactly.
Just keep moving forward.
I agree with you. It is about changing the meaning of what you learn in that moment. I
That's right.
changed the meaning into realizing that I am in control now. I didn't lose control anymore. So that completely changes my process. It's like when we do trauma therapy, everything is about closing the loop. So when we actually find a way to close that loop, you won't feel that fear, that anxiety,
Right.
that desperation of don't know what to do. And I
Yeah.
think that hypnotherapy myself, in my own experience, I absolutely love it. I think that it is probably one of the best things and probably a fastest way to
Yeah.
actually get through from doing a lot of the other training. And of course, like in any training that we do, it is about understanding what you need and also trusting your partner that is actually doing it as well. As long as that you believe there is a way, I can guarantee you there is always a way.
Always. Always.
Beautiful. So Nicole, I know that you just got published, isn't it? Congratulations of being a
Thank you.
published author. Tell us
Thank
a
you.
little bit more about your new book.
Okay, so I was asked to write a chapter and it was about my story, and I speak about trauma bonds and how hypnotherapy helped me. And so I'm a co-author of this book here,
Yeah,
Empowered Women Empower Women.
yeah,
And I loved writing my story so much, that I now am in the middle of writing my own book.
yeah.
And that should be published maybe end of year. I'm not sure. I hope so. And that is for anybody that has either left an abusive relationship or is in one. I speak to the reader like I'm speaking to you,
Mm,
and I get them to understand how hypnotherapy helps, what a trauma bond is, and understanding the cycle. I describe the abuser and how some of them are narcissistic and some of them are on the personality, borderline personality disorder. I describe physical abuse or everything. I describe verbal abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, and in between that, you also hear my story. And the reason why I'm reaching out and telling people my story is because I want them to know that I've got you. I get you and I understand you, and I'm here to help you.
Definitely. I love that because, like, just a backside story. I actually know Nicole for quite a few years. So
Yeah,
when she actually reached out to me into actually becoming one of our guests, I'm like, are you the same Nicole that I know in the beauty industry a long
I
time ago?
know.
We work so well together. She's
Yes,
someone that I highly respect. And when I hear her story and what she have done for herself to actually help herself being better, and also doing basically exactly what I'm doing,
I
transitioning
know.
into the coaching, isn't it? It's so beautiful. Like, it is a very attractive thing because we are helping a lot of people. And
That's it.
that's what's the goal about what we're doing.
Yes,
Nicole, it has been wonderful talking to you today. I
thank
really love our conversation, and I'll be going to put down all your contact details into the comments. But if you'd like to share that with our audience, feel free to tell our audience how to reach out to you.
Yep. So my website is www.soulfulhypno.com.au. And my Instagram is Soulful Healing Hypno. And my Facebook is Soulful Healing Hypnotherapy. So if you want to join me, and it'll be great.
That
So
will be wonderful. That will be wonderful. I'll be putting those contacts into our comments there today. Thank you for all our listeners, our audience, for joining us on tonight's Wednesday's Wisdom Wednesday. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you again, everyone.
thank you.